Saurabh Mukherjee of Ambit joins in to talk about trade. Hi Saurabh, morning. Disappointing series to say the least. What kind of range do you expect the market to gravitate towards over the coming few months?
I think I've been saying on your channel for a few months now that by the end of June we expect the market to be somewhere around 16,000. We're still holding to that line. It's not a particularly bullish line to take clearly, but in the near term, in the next 1 to 2 months, there are concerns on both on the macroeconomic side and also on the sheer amount of short build-ups in the market. So I think that June will be a difficult month again. July onwards, there's hope for economic reform, and hopefully there'll be commodity prices easing in July onwards. So that could give us some positivity from July, but June is a difficult month.
Saurabh, hi, morning. You've been quite cautious in the market for a while. Very quickly, what do you think will drag the markets lower in terms of a sectoral performance?
I think there's two factors which are worrying us, particularly on the macroeconomic front. One is accelerating inflation. As the fuel price decontrol bites, the inflation numbers will get pushed up. Food inflation is already galloping. And secondly, we are seeing clear signs of capex lending slowing down. Clearly, if capex lending is slowing down, that will lead to the industrial production numbers coming off. So I think there's strong reasons to believe there's a GDP slowdown, meaningful one around the corner. Those are the two big macro indicators which are giving us headaches at the moment.
Okay, Saurabh, what did you read into Tata Motors' numbers, and how would you approach the auto space now?
I think the numbers were on the JLR side. The numbers was subpar. We felt. On the other hand, on the domestic HGV segment, on the CV segment, they did better than expected. Overall, I see Tata Motors as a very different stock to any of the other domestic auto plays, because half the profits are coming from JLR, which is a very different business to anything else in the Indian auto space. I think JLR's demand dynamics remain very strong, and the input cost pressures they face, the input cost pressures they face are more muted. So going forward, this is a stock I would take exposure to. I would take exposure to Tata Motors and the broader auto space as well. I'm less bearish than many people out there because I think commodity prices could come off over the next few months, leading to margin improvements. So overall, less bearish in auto than others, and Tata Motors is something I would look to add to my portfolio.
Oh, Saurabh, on that point you're making about the downside risk for the market, risk aversion levels have not moved that much. Is it a likelihood that the market actually heads back to the lows it's seen this year without any meaningful impact on risk aversion?
I think the biggest negative, if you were to look at risk aversion for global markets, I think as a whole, is the fact that we are nearing the end of QE2, and that will lead to the cost of money, cost of capital rising globally. And as capital becomes dearer, once the Fed stops buying bonds, as capital becomes dearer, I think you will see a pullback in speculative activity, whether it's in commodities or in equities or in junk bonds, and that's the major global signal we are looking out for. If the US economy goes into a sustained weak patch and chances of QE3 come in, then I think that's actually good for markets. But going forward over the next month or so, there's a good chance that as cost of capital rises, risk aversion will, if anything, will increase, and that's a negative for markets globally, not just equities but also commodities and junk bonds.
The call is the market has deeper downside from here. How best would you insulate yourself in terms of a portfolio exposure then? Where is it that is the safest place to lie in right now?
3 months ago, we took the call that the Indian market was heading for a sustained down move, and we built a 48 stock portfolio of what we call good and clean stocks. That portfolio has outperformed the market by 700 basis points now, and the reason for that is we focused on stocks which had inflation immunity and very strong accounting quality, high quality fundamentals and inflation immunity. So the portfolio has plenty of FMCG in it, as you would expect, but it also has IT in it, it has auto and auto ancillaries in it, it has some OMCs in it, paradoxically. The sorts of stocks we would avoid and we don't have in the portfolio are power, construction, steel, textiles, airlines, any commoditized sector where pricing power is weak, I would stay well away from it. So to give you a sense of what sort of stocks we have in the portfolio, we're looking at Bharti Airtel, Redington, HCL Tech, Tata Motors, actually, ironically, given what's happening to it, and that's the stance we'll continue maintaining. Focus on high quality stocks with inflation immunity, because inflation really is the killer going into Q1 results, and margin pressure is something that most companies will face unless they have high quality market positioning and strong brands.
You spoke about the downside for the market, Saurabh. What about the upside? Once we do hit that bottom and start to retrace, how much do you think we could lap up by the end of the year?
I think the big thing to look for is what happens when Parliament opens. My sense is Parliament will open around 10th or 15th of July, and my hope is that the next 6 to 9 months we'll have a strong economic reform agenda, because that's what we need to swing business confidence around, and that's what we need to swing institutional investor confidence around. If those two swing around, then I don't see any reason why we couldn't end FY12 somewhere north of 20,000 on the Sensex. But we do need the government to come up with a decent economic reform agenda once Parliament opens on around mid-July. That's the big thing that will swing business confidence, which is clearly sagging at the moment. And if we speak to bankers about commercial credit uptake in the capex area, that's going in the wrong direction at the moment as far as stock market's concerned. So if the government makes the right noises in July, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't end FY12 north of 20,000 perhaps.
So you wouldn't be worried about the flight of capital that we're seeing in anticipation of the second round of quantitative easing ending, because liquidity has pretty much been the epicenter for us last year, and this year we haven't had a good run at all. Is that not a worrying point for you?
Clearly, as I said right at the beginning, I think June is a difficult month. It's very difficult to see how June will be anything other than a down month for the market because of QE2 ending, cost of capital rising. The Nifty options build up is also fairly difficult. I think it's 2.3 crores of net short positions. So June, I'm pretty clear about will be a difficult month. Looking forward further out, July, looking at the Parliament session and hoping for economic reform, that will give a different picture altogether if economic reform comes through, because that will have a major effect on business confidence and on FII sentiment as well. My sense is another 10% downside will lead to fairly serious FII flows looking to enter India. If that 10% downside happens in the next 2 to 3 months, then the FII money flows into India will reverse that much quicker. I think there is serious long-term money waiting to enter India. They're looking for better valuations, and they're looking to the government of India to come up with a decent economic reform program.
Okay, Saurabh, we'll leave it there. Thanks as always for stopping by with your thoughts on the market. That's one cautious view, saying more downside coming, and much of it could be predicated by the internal worries for the market. Let's take a